for our session on information and communication technology enabled healthcare ecosystem. We have the stakeholders here in the hall to deliberate and debate on this topic. And as a moderator, I again request Dr. D.S. Rana, Managing Director and Chairman of Sir Gangaram Hospital, New Delhi, to please join us as a moderator of the session. A round of applause for Mr. Rana. Please take your seat, Dr. Rana. Then I invite Mr. Gunjan Kumar, CIO, Chief Information Officer and Head of New Initiatives in Regency Healthcare, Kanpur. A round of applause, please, for our guest from Kanpur. Then Mr. Alok Khare, Vice President of IT in JP Hospital, Noida. A round of applause for Mr. Khare, please. Do we have Dr. Suchin Bajaj with us? Yeah, Dr. Suchin Bajaj, I'm sorry, Founder, Director of Cygnus Hospitals, Gurgaon. Round of applause for Mr. Bajaj, please. Mr. Nikesh Singh, Group CEO of Meenakshi Mission Hospital and Research Center, Madurai. Okay, he's a round of applause for him. He is joining us on stage. And Mr. Sridharan Mani, Director and CEO, American Megatrends India Private Limited. Sir, I request you to join us on stage. He has also given a PPT. You might have questions for him. You can ask him after the panel discussion, and Q&A it will be followed up by Q&A. You can ask questions with all our panelists. So with this, Dr. Rana, I hand over the session to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all of you. Firstly, let me convey my gratitude to team of eHealthcare for having invited me to this highly technical audience. I feel that there must be few doctors here, mostly they're IT people or professional CEOs. I am primarily a doctor and then I am a administrator, non-professional administrator. But anyway, we are at Sir Gangaram Hospital, running the hospital through IT for more than almost nearly 2 decades. And we acquired a good HIA system which started in 2005. And we are in the process of changing to better integrated system. So I think during this period we have faced many problems. As a non-IT person, I thought that all people sitting on left and right, those who are IT experts, they should address this to the audience and to my knowledge also. First question is to Dr. Gunjan Kumar. Okay. I'll call everybody doctor, but okay. And he is working in Regency Hospital. And question that 2 years back, they have expanded from 2 hospitals to 5 hospitals. And they're expanding further. How do you scale up your IT system for delivery,
Thank you, Dr. Rana. My name is Gunjan Kumar. I am CIO and Head of New Initiatives of Regency Healthcare. Regency Healthcare, formerly known as Regency Hospital, is a 23-year-old healthcare group. So we had almost 2 hospitals operational 2 years back. And within a month or so, we'll be having the 4th operational, and by the end of the year, we'll be having 5th hospital operational. We are moving across to other cities, so by 2018 end, we'll be having 7 hospitals up and running. It was quite a challenging task to see this kind of scalability, and we were quite excited and enthusiastic the way we were scaling up and the motivation we were getting to scale up. But Then we thought that, see, IT systems have to be thought of as first, because lately, as we have been watching listening to all the presentations, almost every diagnostic or healthcare delivery service is leveraging on your networks, your IT systems. So we thought of actually revamping the entire IT infrastructure of the group. It was quite a pain, but then we thought that probably like Reserve Bank works on their locker once, and that lasts for almost years and years. So we thought that the network should be as reliable as the locker of the Reserve Bank, where they, dig in all their dollars, rupees, and all the gold bricks. So what we started working on is a truly called medical grade infrastructure, which was truly managed. We spent a lot on sort of an activity which didn't seem much of a ROI activity to the management initially, because that was an investment which was actually a passive investment. But as we can see today, a lot of medical modalities, the kind of data throughput that happens across, like DICOM imaging of PACS, picture archival imaging, all diagnostic images, all lab information. And then we saw that there are a lot of innovations which were coming up, like American Trends, which they want to plug into our network, and probably we don't want that any new application dropping into the existing infrastructure has some kind of business discontinuity. I do believe that it is okay to have a basic IT infrastructure with any of the hospitals. It is okay to have a basic HMS or a clinical system in a hospital. But it would be a shame for a hospital, and especially for the IT team, if the IT is hampering the business continuity in its operations. I believe that there should be a decent level of redundancy built in to ensure whatever we are committing to our clinicians, to the patients, and to the internal services, internal service providers, are consistent and reliable and predictable. I have seen most of the hospital clinicians, doctors, deter to use different new applications, or even the clinical basic HMS application, because they say probably at times we have outages, my computer doesn't work. So they're very, very fundamental. But why I'm referring to these today is that because of the scale what we go to, the Gangaram Hospital, the kind of scale they have, there's a lot of dependency on the IT systems which have to be thought in. Like once you invest into the infrastructure and you stay reliable, you stay relaxed, that now you don't have to look at the hardware or the infrastructure part and focus on the different application coming up. While we did so, we also thought of why not we work on the application which we run our businesses on. Now, I have Sir has a lot of years of experience, but I cannot say that, I would say that anybody who's sitting in this room cannot vouch upon a single HMS or a EHR solution which has lasted for a decade, or probably it lasted for a decade in a hospital. So I could not find at least 5 occurrences of a large corporate hospital which had a clinical system or a HMS which lasted for 10 years. We took a forward call. I do understand it's a large call we took. We thought that the essence of stakeholders, the management team, the finance team, is actually the finances which are coming up, and operational success of the hospital is actually gauged on, especially for a corporate hospital, is how you're churning out your resources, whether it is the money, the consumables, the deliverables, the procedures, how profitable they are, or at least how optimized they are, how you're controlling the leakages on the materials which we purchase. There are hundreds and hundreds of pharmacy items coming into the hospital, hundreds of consumables they are coming into the hospital. We took a courageous decision, which seems to be reflecting as a huge cost initially, which people would say, is that we leverage on SAP lately. We have desired to move on SAP, but we decided to move on SAP in a very, very different way. What we see is typically people go for any financial solution which is integrated to your current HMS, but keeping into view the longevity of any solution which was not more than 7 to 8 years in a hospital or 10 years in a hospital, we thought let's leverage on a solution which has a history of being into existence. And we decided to do even our pharmacy, even our central purchases, delivery, and finance on a single platform, that is SAP. And believe me, it came out to be quite economical. And I'm not a goodwill, promoter of any solution. I should not be actually taking names, but I'm just taking this name that I would like to have more of these solutions in the industry when it comes to HMS, which can prove their existence and longevity in the industry. I'll just take 1 or 2 more minutes more. We also realize that there are certain internal services which have to be prompt. Like, for example, when a patient comes to the hospital, there is nursing care. There are different, you provide him food. Your centralized kitchen is there. Your centralized maintenance and engineering services are there, and the IT is there. Engineering services provide you air conditioning and different variable, their lights, there's power supply. We have actually put a challenge to ourselves. We have set up turnaround time, escalation matrix, deployed different applications to ensure that everybody is on their toes to give best of the services to the patients. And lastly, what we have started doing is that beside the fact you have invested in IT systems, you also have to ensure that those IT systems are being used by the hospital staff, the nursing staff, the clinicians, the doctors. So, and it becomes really difficult with so many apps, and you have to actually honor every clinician who comes up and tells you, I found this solution on the internet, why don't we adopt it? The answer is always yes, because you cannot say no. But you know that you cannot have every solution available to be deployed in your system. So what we started doing is that we set up an internal deployment team which was only working on the acceptance and UI of a solution. So what we do is, we don't develop any software in-house. We do in-house UI development on very, very simple to use tools, and we present the same application with my existing database on a tablet. We make them use with a pseudo data, and we tell them this is not exactly the clinical care is delivered on. But that kind of acceptance which you get, which you can deliver to a doctor or a clinician of a UI, which comes out to him on the 7th or 8th day of what he has asked for, retrospective to the solution which he has seen on the internet, is actually a way forward what I see. There's a lot to say, and I think other speakers also have to speak up. Thank you, sir.
Focusing on emergency and urgent healthcare for people who do not or cannot access such healthcare within the golden hour. So we plan and provide and make sure that people are not losing lives on roads trying to get to the bigger cities to access healthcare. So the end of the life, as sir said, we experiment a lot with ICT, and I feel ICT is the only way that we can actually promise healthcare to the populations that we are working in. We have a major lack of doctors. The infrastructure is not an issue. Technology is not a very big issue for us. We can access very good and very high-end technology as and when we need it. But the problem is the stakeholders must be willing to accept that technology, and we must have enough human resources to implement that technology that we get for them. The lack of doctors is especially glaring in the small towns that we work in. So, as I think statistics everybody knows, we have so many patients. We have around 30 million cancer patients, and every year we produce only about 84 DM oncologists. And we have the double number of diabetics. We have around 60 million diabetics. We are diagnosing 10 million every year, new diabetics. And we are producing only 67 DM oncologists every year. So how do we make sure that the community can access these super specialists, these star doctors that are sitting in the big cities who can actually promise them good healthcare? The villager is very loath to come to the hospital to just get his blood sugar level checked, or just to maintain his blood sugar levels, or just to ask the doctor, this is my blood sugar is 200 today, what should I do about it? So we make sure that the villager does not need to come to the hospital to make these small adjustments in his dose or these small consultations. Primary healthcare is the way to go. So we've started some telemedicine solutions, and this is where we found out that the end of life can come very quickly in a technology. the telemedicine solution that we started in, so we studied why and how telemedicine is failing so consistently. It is one of those healthcare technologies that has failed every time that people have checked on it. I think 4 or 5 years when we were attending conferences, there used to be one session on telemedicine always in every conference, and now it's nowhere there. So we tried to find out why this telemedicine was failing so consistently and regularly in all healthcare delivery models. And then we realized that until and unless a doctor can see a patient, can actually touch and feel a patient at least once in his life cycle of the disease process, it is very difficult for both the doctor and the patient to be satisfied. So we realized that the current telemedicine projects were running thousands of miles apart from the patient and the doctor, so they had to be closer together. So we started telemedicine projects about 20 to 30 kilometers away from our hospital in the big villages that were surrounding him. Even with that, we could not really succeed because the apps were so heavy on data. It was so difficult to convince the stakeholders, the doctors, to spare time regularly for this. And we realized that with new technology coming in very quickly, new apps coming in, there are a lot of very good telemedicine solutions that we are seeing here also being displayed, and we are talking to them. The old telemedicine had an end of life which was only 6 months to a year into its life. People found out very good shortcuts. As sir said, consultants come up to you and tell you that this is much better, why don't you try it out? So we see that end of life in ICT can come very quickly and abruptly, and we have to be prepared for it and have backups ready. So preparing 10 years in advance may be a good idea for your SAPs and datas and preserving them, but I'm not very sure how quickly it will die out and how quickly you will have to prepare an alternative model to just keep a backup for that.
Thank you, Dr. Sachin Bajaj. I asked a wrong question from Dr. Bajaj, but he has addressed very nicely the burning issue of accessibility and affordability of health cure rather than health care right now. So I think I would like to ask from hardcore IT person, Dr. Mr. Khare, Lok Khare, who is Vice President of IT JP Hospital in Noida. As a doctor or as a, I told you, chairman of the hospital, eventually we would like that all you IT people should put our heads together and find out a solution addressing common processing or running the hospitals, Whether it is Gangaram, whether it is Medanta, or whether it is JP, or whether it is Apollo, they should run on the same processes. Certain process should be standard. And unfortunately, we don't have such product here. And I was just hearing that the life of finding software is also a little short. I will not say life of the software is short, but probably that require with the change of time, little modifications. And this has really become a challenge to acquire the technology, and especially in our country where I know the technology can bring a lot of improvement in economy, in setting the processes, in improving the both healthcare and health cure. But at the same time, it becomes very expensive here, especially to have enterprise solutions for bigger hospitals. And when they are not standard solution available, then you are trying to find out your IT partner, and then you long process, and a common person, a lay person like me will always ask that we would like to purchase a product which is available, purchase today and install tomorrow. And with little bit of customization, in few weeks' time or few days' time, it should be over. And I hope that in the days to come or in the years to come, probably this should be there, but it is not there today. And that in many hospitals, that is why many hospitals, including our hospital, we are struggling to have an idle IT system, and we are not able to find it, And I can tell you that with our own experience, over the last 10 years, we faced a lot of problem in HI system. So from Mr. Lok Khare, I would like to ask first question, why there is end of life is so short, or what are the reasons for that? And whenever you want to change the from one particular system to another system, then how do you deal with change management? These are two important questions which Mr. Lokhare will answer.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Rana. Yeah, before that, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Alok Khare. I'm looking after IT part of JP Hospital. JP Hospital is one of the hospital under JP Healthcare Group and JP Healthcare Limited. And JP Healthcare Limited is one of the group company of JP Group. JP is primarily into infrastructure, cement, powerhouse and all. They have recently entered into healthcare with this JP Hospital as one of the 550-bed hospital. In fact, I'm in IT from last more than 30 years. And around 5 years ago, I joined this JP Hospital, and this was my first healthcare experience. Prior to that, I worked in a lot of healthcare projects, but for a particular hospital, this was my first project. And when I joined, actually, these were the questions, whatever questions were given to me by Dr. Rana, these were the questions asked to me. What are you going to do for this hospital? Fortunately, one good part was like, okay, my management told me, the day one, they told me that the IT is the main differentiator between a good hospital, good organization and a normal organization. So with that, we started designing our IT strategy for the hospital, for the hospital and for the JP Healthcare Limited. First of all, I addressed all infrastructure related issues. When the hospital foundation work was going on, that time itself we designed the complete network, passive network, active devices, and then the server was not procured, but it was like, okay, under the budget, actually we decided what kind of things we are going to have. And also we were, since we are into IT from so many years, so we were aware like, okay, what is the best technology required for the hospital, which I will like to tell in the next few minutes. So that we were very much aware. So we designed our IT strategy document. It was around 20-page document, and there actually we have addressed all those points. And based on that, okay, we have budgeted our IT. It was something around 22 crores rupees. And then we did this. And as far as selection of IT vendor is concerned, we first of all, we just identified 4 or 5 parameters. One is very important parameter is what is the technology, whether are they into the latest technology or not. That was the one of the factor. The second factor was very important, like which was open system, whether we are using open sources or they are having a proprietary kind of thing. If they are having a proprietary kind of thing, then you are going to face a lot of problem in the long run. Third one is whether they have a really healthcare domain knowledge or not. See, hospital is very much integrated environment. Actually, if integration is not done, then actually any kind of system, if you are going to implement, it is going to fail. So we read all kind of infrastructure, like, okay, healthcare industries related standards, like HL7, ICD-10, and then everything we understood. So third point was whether they have a domain knowledge and they have addressed domain issue or not. The fourth issue was, which was very important and which was very much actually for the present point of view also it is very important, whether this will address the mobile technology or not. Whatever technology is today and it is coming in future, whether it is going to address or not. So we made sure, like, okay, these 4 or 5 aspects are whether any IT vendor is addressing these aspects or not. So afterward, actually, we implemented like, okay, HIS, EMR, like feedback management system, and CRM system. Everywhere, actually, we saw that, okay, these points are addressed or not. And like, okay, for example, like if you want to make sure that, okay, any application which is designed for the laptop or desktop, whether it is working on mobile or not, that should be responsive screen. Like the screen should be designed in such a way that without any changes, it works into this. So we made sure, like, okay, most of these. So because we were very much into IT, so we made sure, like, okay, whether healthcare requirement and IT solution, whatever we are giving, whether it is addressed or not. So in this process, like, okay, anywhere, like, okay, if even like wherever we get the opportunity of automation of the system, we just design the application on top of it, and then it is the framework is available, and then we design the system. We implement the system. in this process, like, okay, there is a help desk system. We have developed a help desk system where if any problem is there related to plumbing, related to nursing, related to IT computer, from anywhere, you can just go to the website, go to the, like, okay, the link, and then enter your problem, and immediately you will get the acknowledgement. Like if it is like, okay, there is some problem in your laptop or desktop, immediately it will be, someone will acknowledge it, and within like, okay, 1 or 2 hours it will be resolved. So basically we facilitated this type of system for everywhere, for IT help desk, for even building management system, for anything like, okay, we did it. That is one of the system. And then feedback management system also we have implemented. Normally feedback is, people take feedback into the, like, okay, the paper form, but we made sure like, okay, all the channels, like maybe the paper form, tab, emailing, and SMS, all these systems, we take the feedback and it goes into the one platform, and then it will be like within, like, okay, within 24 hours it should be addressed, and within 48 hours there should be CAPA kind of like corrective action and preventive action report should be developed by the department. So in this process we improve, like, okay, a lot of process improvement initiative we got, and then we made sure that these like, okay, preventive actions are incorporated in the hospital processes. So this is the way actually we are handling the IT related part of the hospital. And other than that, okay, EMR, HIS, these are the, like, okay, I think a story which is common everywhere, and then we are doing it.
I think my question still not answered, but anyway, nice to know what JP Hospital is doing well and doing regarding IT. My question was very specific, and maybe not Mr. Nakesh Singh will be able to address it. That whenever you want to change IT partner, then he told you certain selection criteria, but how do you change the change management? They have not faced yet, so.
Okay.
Change management is very important.
Yeah, change management is very important. Basically, healthcare, actually, the problem we are facing is nothing but change management. Because first of all, doctor is not using any system, and then if they are supposed to use the EMR, that itself is a big change management, and that is the problem actually we are facing. But here, I think your question is more related to when we are changing from one vendor to other vendor. So,
when you are saying one vendor or one system is same, but the process is different.
No, actually, okay. See, first of all, actually, we need to, I mean, if I talk about the complete life cycle, SDLC, which is called software development life cycle, so I think, like, okay, more than 50% is nothing but the requirement management and the project management. If these two things are addressed properly, then the change management also part of one of the thing of the project management only. So if the requirement is addressed properly, and then actually we come out like, okay, how do I do that? I can tell you.
No, I just, you just told that doctors move from pen to, say, pen or pencil to register to do something like EMR, and your sports staff also went to ERP. They get you to one system which is going to last for, say, 7-8 years. Then suddenly the administration decides, okay, this partner, IT partner is not good. We'd like to have some better IT partner or somebody, robust IT partner. Your people get you to some system. And the other system, unfortunately, the other system doesn't address the process in the same way. They will address the process in some other way, and that is where I could not understand what is IT actually, that why do they address the systems, why do they have different processes? Because during that different processes, it is very difficult to convince the users. And UAT, or say, user acceptance test becomes a major challenge for the administration, because they do not want to accept that something new system, may be good or bad, but they will say, no, this is not the baby working like that, But anyway, that was the questions.
I'll take only 1 minute. I'm sorry, I'll take only 1 minute. See, this UAT concept is, I think it is a very, very old kind of concept. Now it is an agile world. So there is a separate thing called agile methodology, where actually you can, whatever you want to make change, take some piece of the change, and implement that. And you see there are problems in that, then identify the second phase, second iteration basically, and make sure that in the second iteration, the first requirement are also addressed. So it is basically, slowly it will grow. If you big bang approach, which we are talking about the UAT, the complete UAT, and then implement it, big bang approach never work. As per me, it is a little old as far as IT processing is concerned, IT things concerned.
How do
Thanks, Dr. Rana, for asking this kind of questions from an IT person. Okay, but let me just say, thanks. See, I'm not from the IT, but let me say the experience of my organization. I'm coming from Meenakshi Mission Hospital. It is a non-profit organization in the southern part of Tamil Nadu. It's an 850-bed hospital. And I've been working there for last 2 years, and I'm actually general management guy from IIM Ahmedabad. Okay. So this organization, when I joined, it had more than 3,000 people working. And if you bring any management guy from a good business school, he'll not talk of IT, he will see the profit loss statement, and he'll do the value chain analysis. Where we are spending how much money. Yeah. Where we are spending how much money. Then we came to know we are paying for 3,000 people. But our organization didn't want to simply replace one software version with another software version. Then we decided we are going to change the IT vendors. But we didn't simply want to bring any new vendor. Then we hired one of a very well-known consultancy company, which very meticulously did the process mapping for the hospital. Okay, what is my capacity? Which kind of system we require at each and every area? Then we came to know, okay, we need this kind of customization, okay, for different IT solutions. Then we, called for the vendors. When we're looking for the vendors to, bring new system, we look for, some important criteria. Like one is switching cost. In the future, if we are going to, change the vendor, how comfortable my people will be. Then data migration is another issue. Because this hospital is 25-year-old organization, a lot of data are there. So these data, can be compatible with that or not. Apart from, the cost, which are spoken by the vendor, there are many hidden costs. Okay. What cost, my organization going to, incur during the life cycle? And also about, how prompt support they are going to give. Okay, so, it's a complicated and cumbersome process. We have not yet, transformed my IT system there, but still, it's so complicated. The IT people can better answer, how complicated is this process.
I think because of lack of time, I will hand over mic to Mr. Mani to wrap it up and sum up the whole discussion.
Thank you very much, sir. So, as the panelists spoke, one solution doesn't fit everything. So, there are like goods and bads when you look at the software as a software and not look at the holistic approach of the business. So, the panelists are bringing down some important points. It's like it is always your business first, then the technology comes next. So if you understand the business and if you know what is the core competency of your business and what core that you need to maintain, that you have to design and that you need to make sure that is the fundamental block of your system. And then like you can always get the external vendors to add on top of it. So which is a very interesting takeaway that I got through when I was listening to each and every one of you, where I found that, okay, so you have to own your business and you have to own your systems. On top of it, you can always have a building block. So if I may add one more thing, whenever I am doing my business, the first thing what I do is I always have a 3-layer or a 4-layer approach. So I keep the presentation layer separate from the business logic layer separate from the data layer so that tomorrow the people can change the GUI, the way and form they want to see it, because I have never seen two doctors like the same look and feel of the product. And the business people, analysts, they like to have different kinds of report thrown to them so that they can do marketing, campaigning and other activities. So if you can segregate business layer from your presentation layer, from your data layer, 90% of the problems could be addressed. Thank you very much. Let me hand over to.
Because of paucity of time, thank you all, and thank you all the panelists. Thank you very much.
Sir, I would request you to please stay on stage for a moment. I would ask my team to please bring the memento for our speaker. I would request Dr. Rana to please thank Mr. Gunjan Kumar for being a speaker at this summit. A huge round of applause for Mr. Gunjan Kumar, please. Speaker memento to Mr. Alok Khare. A huge round of applause for Mr. Alok. Dr. Sushin Bajaj from Sickness Hospital. Mr. Nikesh Singh from Meenakshi Mission Hospital and Research Center, Madurai. And we have already Mr. Siddharan Mani. And I would request Mr. Mani to please give the memento to Dr. Rana. And now can we have a group photograph, please? If you want. Please, if you could just come in front or do whatever is comfortable. Thank you all the panelists for your time to us, for your very busy schedule. Thank you for joining us. A group photograph with eHealth magazine, please. And I hope all the panelists from the next session are here in the hall. Dr. Jitendra Sharma, Mr. Rajiv Nath, Dr. Ravi Gaur, Dr. Rajiv Kumar Jain, and Mr. Dilip Patil.